What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Overrated, Underrated with Resilience Training and me, Coach Mike. This is that talk series where you guys give me topics based on fitness, nutrition, and sports performance, and I let you know whether I think they are overrated or underrated. Let's get to your most recent responses. Is doing measurements better than using the scale? Aha, I love this question. So I'm assuming you're coming from the aspect of body fat loss. So right off the bat, I'll say yes, taking measurements is a way better indicator of progress than the scale. Your typical scale doesn't differentiate between fat and muscle. So if you're gaining muscle while losing fat, the scale might not show the progress that you're making. Taking measurements also shows you size changes. Putting a tape measure around your arms, your bust, your waist, your thighs will give you a true insight on how your body is changing, at least aesthetically, so you could put a number to why you feel better in your clothes. Another point is just the way the body works. The scale can fluctuate day to day, even within a day, but your size doesn't fluctuate that way. Part of my beef with the scale is people are so scale dependent that they let that be the only indicator of their progress in their fitness journey. And with how much the scale can fluctuate, can you imagine how you would feel if your emotions or your belief of your progress fluctuates like that as well? It's not necessarily healthy during your fitness journey. And I've seen that cause a lot of people to quit. Your body measurements are not gonna fluctuate like that. So more than likely you're gonna do them less often. And it's my experience that tracking less often is better for your mental health, because you're more occupied with those things that you have to do and not wondering, where am I? What's my progress looking like? So taking body measurements as a tool to track your weight loss, underrated. Let's go ahead and check out another response. What's better, skipping breakfast or not eating after 9? Okay. I'm also assuming that this question is coming from like the weight loss side of things. For some people, calorie deficits are hard to accomplish. So to accomplish a calorie deficit, because we all know that's what leads to weight loss, people use a lot of different tools. Both skipping breakfast and not eating 9 is actually kind of like the same tool. It's a tool that we call intermittent fasting. You're fasting, not eating food, for a prolonged period of time. Skipping breakfast is a fast. You're fasting from dinner time the day prior to lunchtime of the next day, or whenever you choose to break your fast. Not eating after 9 is also a type of fast. You're trying to prolong that time between dinner and the next meal you have the next day. Now, are any of those two inherently better? Mathematically, I would say no, but in theory, I would say yes. Hear me out. What are you doing after 9 p.m.? Sitting on the couch, scrolling on your phone, maybe watching TV, Netflix, or Hulu? My point is, usually people are not very active after 9 p.m. So choosing not to eat after 9 p.m. won't necessarily have any drawbacks in terms of energy. Also, you are going to bed a few hours after that, and you don't need many calories to stay alive while you're sleeping. But what are you doing after breakfast time? Most likely more important and more energy demanding things than after 9. And what I've seen in my personal experience is a lot of people who cut breakfast in the name of saving calories kind of set themselves up for failure later in the day. These people who are habitual breakfast skippers, many of them tend to compensate for the breakfast that they skip later in their day, either with bigger meals or by eating a lot more snacks in between and after meals. So in theory, if your fast is lasting the same amount of time, but one is scheduled around your sleep and one is scheduled around your wake time, I would say the one that's scheduled around your sleep would be inherently better. So I would say that if you want to try either of these two, try giving yourself a hard stop to when you stop eating in the evening. Tell yourself, okay, after dinner, I'm not going to eat any more food. Maybe I'm just going to have some water or have some warm tea. And the next day you could go back to regular scheduled programming. So not eating after 9 p.m., underrated. All right, response number 3. Is HIIT training best for me if I'm skinny fat? Skinny fat? What the hell? Well, I think skinny fat refers to people who are of normal body weight and around normal size, but their body composition is way off, meaning they have way more body fat and less muscle. This more than likely comes from a lack of training, a more sedentary life, and poor nutrition. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that genetics and hormones can play a role in that too. So is HIIT training good for someone like that who wants to change their body composition? Of course. And to be honest, any kind of consistent exercise while doing resistance training would be good for you to change your body composition. Opt to maximize your protein. Cut out unnecessary sugars and try to cut out some alcohol too. This will be the foundation of getting unskinny fat. Now, in terms of exercise, HIIT training is great, but for a beginner, maybe not so much. So start with a form of exercise, resistance training, that you can do and do consistently week in and week out. Now, in terms of lifestyle, I want you to give yourself a step count. 9,000 steps is a good place to start. I want you to optimize the amount of water that you're drinking. Start off by drinking, let's say, 2 liters of water per day. And to set yourself up for success, aim at getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Now we get to start talking about the exercise. And guess what? HIIT training is awesome, but for beginners, maybe not so much. For one, it's tough. It's hard to go high intensity. 2, when you're going at a fast pace, sometimes it's hard to keep form and technique. And for a beginner, form and technique is crucial, so maybe you want to start a little bit slower. Traditional strength training, just 20 to 30 minutes is good enough that you'll start to see some changes. And once you've built up that foundational strength and you've built up the ability to be consistent week in and week out, of course you can start dabbling into HIIT training. So HIIT training to correct skinny fatness, underrated. Okay, last response right here. Is boxing a good workout for losing weight? One of the things that you will continue to hear me preach is there are no workouts that are best for losing weight. Losing weight is a metabolic process that happens in the body when you start to consume less energy than you expend. That being said, exercise only makes up 10 to 30% of your total TDEE. That's your total day energy expenditure. So to be perfectly honest, exercise is not the main driver of weight loss. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't exercise, and that doesn't mean exercise is not important for other reasons. One of the main things that exercise does when it comes to weight loss is raising our basal metabolic rate. That's literally how many calories we burn just living, just sitting around doing nothing. People who have more muscle mass burn more calories at rest. Also, people with more muscle mass burn more calories doing the same exercises and daily movements than their counterparts who have less muscle mass. Think about it almost like modes of transportation. Bigger vessel, bigger engine, more energy. That's why you've probably heard me and a bunch of other trainers stress the importance of resistance training, because that's what's going to help build up your muscle mass. Now, does boxing necessarily build up your muscle mass? No, not really. Boxing is more so a form of cardio. Yeah, it will get you stronger. Yeah, it's gonna help you burn calories, but it's not gonna necessarily raise your metabolic rate. So is boxing the most ideal form of exercise to lose body fat? No. But hold up. If boxing is something that you really enjoy, and that's gonna be a form of physical activity that you're gonna buy into and you're gonna be consistent with that, and that's motivating you to get up off the couch and to move your body, and the pursuit of becoming a better boxer leads you to more movement and more exercise and more healthy choices in the kitchen, and it leads you to drinking more water, and it leads you to take more care of your body, like getting enough sleep, and I would say absolutely yes. In that case, it's a great form to help you lose weight. In the end, when it comes down to it, the problem that is obesity in our country is not determined on what type of exercise that you like doing. The real issue, the reality, is that here in our country, over 77% of adults don't get the recommended amount of exercise per week. And over 70% of adults here in our country are considered obese. So trying to be nitpicky about what style of exercise to lose weight is kind of trivial. Do what works best for you. But I also have to answer this question. Is boxing a good workout for losing weight? I would say boxing for losing weight is overrated. Thank you guys for watching another episode. You guys know I love to do this, and I'm gonna keep doing this as long as you guys keep responding to my prompts. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put one out this week on my Instagram story. So if you see it, reply and let me know if you want me to rate something. Send anything to me based on fitness, nutrition, or sports performance, and I will do my best to let you know whether I think it's overrated or underrated. Stay resilient.